I hope our dog's okay. So, yeah. Those are some books that are good to check out. There's a number of them in the sci-fi territory that I really like. Some good short stories, things like that. You're back.
Yes.
Was everything good?
Yeah, I just took the opportunity to use the bathroom.
Oh.
And our puppy is upstairs sleeping on our bed, so I didn't want to disturb her.
She just went back to bed.
Oh, yeah. She sleeps all the time.
I was talking about other books.
Oh. Which books were you talking about?
The Chonner series
Oh, you love
with
those.
C.J. Shera.
Yes.
And I was talking about the Krondor books. I think my favorite Krondor book set in the main Krondor universe is it Silverleaf? No, I have to check.
Looks like while I was gone, you were able to get ahead of me. Although you've done the quest, haven't you?
I have it picked up. I haven't turned it in. It's Daughter of the Empire, Servant of the Empire, Mistress of the Empire. From 87, 90, and 92. That was Raymond Feist and Janie Wirtz. That was the series. Those are all really good. I'm trying to find the name of the book. It's been way too long. Darkness at Sethanon was good. The Magician series was the original 3 of the Rift War. Silver Thorn. That was it. That was with Prince Athura. That one was good. Anyway, now that you're back, what do you want to talk about?
Talk about what that noise was.
I think it was a cat jumping off a table.
I think it probably was that. Well, why don't we... Because later today, I'm going to be teasing this out on our Monday post.
Let's eat.
Right? The reason that we're taking this weekend off, aside from some of our cast members being on vacation, is that we wanted to do a one-shot.
Oh, yeah.
We wanted to record a one-shot.
Yeah.
And the last one-shot we did, which I really loved doing.
The Haunt at Hawthorne Manor.
It was a horror.
For Halloween.
Yep. I think that I did a pretty good job with that one.
I thought it was fantastic.
I was pretty darn happy with how that turned out. This one is not. This one's not a horror.
Well, it might end up being.
Well, it might end up being horrible. It's not a horror, though.
The theme is a little less serious. Just a little.
Just slightly less serious. So, this theme, I was sitting back and we try to do one of our things that we're trying to integrate into the regular cycle of our show is the occasional one shot, like 3 or 4 times a year, do a one shot with some of our crew, and then some people that we know who we don't film the regular show with.
Yeah.
And get folks the taste of some different individuals coming in, some different voices coming into the show. And I was sitting there thinking, like, what would be kind of fun, And we were at dinner. We were at dinner one night, and I asked everyone at dinner, like, hey, what's a setting? What's a style or a story that you think would make for a fun, one-off episode? And it was thrown out
basically
a Western.
Spaghetti Western.
Well, not a spaghetti Western.
I know, but it's basically a spaghetti Western. Like, when people say, I want to play a Western, they mean either Deadwood or spaghetti Western. Theme-wise, Like, either it's like everyone is horrible and swearing all the time, or it's like there's bandits and the sheriff has to go get them.
I mean, yeah, but a spaghetti Western is typically more serious,
I suppose, usually.
And
So this is like comedic.
Yeah, this is more of a... This sits somewhere between... somewhere between a comedy Western and spaghetti Western. Somewhere between those two.
But...
And we came up with this idea after talking at dinner for a little while. And the idea is that we would have everyone playing animals.
So it's a Western, but animals.
And it kind of a classic Western tale, but all animal themed. So you will be portraying Bullseye Betty.
Yep.
A jackalope. But we also have I will give one other character. I said part of the fun of this is the characters themselves. I don't want to give all of them away. Want to leave some for the reveal, but the other character that David Wong, who plays Nines, the Tabaxi Bard, on the regular show, he's gonna be portraying
a mouse.
A mouse. And if you're thinking to yourself, mouse. So why? Wait, are they? Yes, we are. Because everything in this show is, Western themed. So I draw a lot of inspiration from Western movies. And Fievel Goes West is a Western movie, and he is playing the character of the legally distinct Fievels.
An S at the end.
Yes, there's an S at Fievels.
Do you have to say it like, what's that one guy? Fievels! Hey, the Foo Fighters!
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Yeah, he's the weird guy. Christopher Walken.
I can do a really terrible Christopher Walken impression.
Which you're going to do in 5, 4.
I'm not gonna do it.
Oh.
I'm not gonna
1, go.
Flick that. Although my favorite story about Christopher Walken comes from Dave Grohl, lead singer for the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters are in New York. They're based out of New York. So when the New York late night shows, including Saturday Night Live, have a band cancel on them, or even just a regular guest. They'll often give the Foo Fighters a call, and Dave or one of the other band members will appear on the show, or they'll perform. So that's one of the reasons why you actually have seen the Foo Fighters on quite a bit over the years, because they're a local New York band. And they did SNL one time with Christopher Walken, and Christopher Walken was backstage, and of course the host of the show, which was him, has to introduce the band, the musical performer for the evening. And he came backstage and he asked them, so where does the emphasis go? Is it on the Foo or the Fighters? And Dave recounts this tale and says, without missing a beat, he instinctively went, it's on the Fighters. And he just knew what would happen with Christopher Walken. So when they were introduced, Christopher Walken says, ladies and gentlemen, the Foo Fighters. And it's just perfect. That's my favorite story about Christopher Walken.
I like that. It's Christopher Walken. He's like a super well-trained dancer, right?
I think so.
Like he's really good at dancing, I'm pretty sure.
Now I'm gonna look this up.
Like there's like a whole music video where it's just him dancing, like, and he's got like crazy moves.
Yes. So Walken was a child actor in the 50s along with his brothers, but his real passion was actually dancing. He trained as a dancer, and in fact, at the Washington Dance Studio, and even worked as a dancer at a cabaret nightclub, the same club owned by the woman who convinced him to change his name.
See? What was he originally? Nah, I didn't know he changed his name, so.
Yeah, neither did I. Now I'm curious. This is the...
Ronald Walken.
Yeah, he was born Ronald Walken.
Christopher Walken does sound better.
Yeah. I always enjoy watching Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
He's one
obviously
of the
we can't stream it, but you should look up that music video.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. But I didn't know if he was like trained as one or like he just worked on the choreography for that one, you know?
Yeah.
Because even if you haven't been professionally trained as a dancer, you can still learn professional dance moves and choreography.
Yeah.
But if a movie has Christopher Walken in it or a TV show, I'm much more apt to watch it because I really like watching him.
So for Halloween every year, we watch Sleepy Hollow in his best role.
He does not have a single line in that whole movie. They basically gave him
Fake teeth.
a bunch of
And just
fake
said,
teeth.
Stare at people.
And then just said, be intimidating. And he was like, "Arr," because his mouth is full of teeth.
But he pulls it off.
He does. If you haven't watched, that's a Tim Burton movie, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's Tim Burton.
Is it weird gothy and has what's his name in it?
Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Then it is.
Yeah. Boy, has Johnny Depp's life turned into a real shit show the last few years.
Yeah. Sure has.
Woo!
But
Sleepy Hollow is it isn't a good movie.
No, not. It's fun though.
It is. It's dumb.
There's a lot of Tim Burton ones that make my Halloween watch list.
Well, sort of he sort of mastered the art of, I am gonna be just a little scary.
Oh, just a little bit scary, not too scary though.
And you like that.
Mm-hmm. I like a little scary.
I'm trying to think if there's like an actual...
Oh
like,
boy, is my outfit getting weird.
A horror movie that you like, and I can't think of one.
It's right here. This is the horror movie.
I think that's great. I think that's excellent. I love it. Ship it.
Like a scary horror movie.
Yeah.
That I like. I don't do scary well.
Yeah, I know you don't.
My speed is like. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Some of the Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes are
Kind of scary.
Are actually terrifying, especially if you're a kid. So we watched Paramount.
Is
Paramount Plus.
Isn't that Peacock?
Was it Peacock?
I confuse the two.
I don't know which. It was either Peacock or Paramount Plus.
They're
one
the
of them.
same thing.
One of the
Probably.
P's.
One of the non-popular streaming platforms.
It might have been Peacock.
I think it's Peacock.
Or was it?
No, I don't know.
I don't even know which one was it. But either Peacock or Paramount Plus has Are You Afraid of the Dark, and we watched all of them.
For last Halloween.
And there are some real misses. There are... Woo! There's some big old whiffs in there. They're just like, this was dumb. And insane. But then... there are some really good ones. And like some really terrifying ones.
Like the reptilian boarding school.
Reptilian boarding school is like a kid, that was terrifying.
That was good.
Like people actually die in that one.
Yeah. Or the like basement demon one. Where the kid's like, I'm gonna murder for bicycles.
Yes.
That one was pretty good.
Yeah, the murder for bicycles episode is pretty good. And I like the implication that he kills his sister.
It's heavily implied at the end. Although they
about to.
They leave it hanging in the story, but then the kids afterwards are like talking about it after they cut out of the story. And the kid who's telling the story says that the sister is okay.
Yeah, that's right.
But they make a heavy implication that he's planning to murder his sister for profit.
For bicycles.
For bicycles. I like the idea that the demon's like, I'll give you anything you want, and it's just bicycles.
You, young lad, can have anything you want as long as you bring me
I want more bicycles. Seriously. And
you've had like 15 of them already.
I'm getting tired of making bicycles.
Yeah, but I can sell them and make money. I can literally just give you money. Yeah, but I can also like use a bicycle if I can't sell it. Like you could just buy a bicycle with money.
Like, the deal's off, kid. This is too much.
Oh,
this is too weird for me. Just like,
the child is like
creeps the demon out.
And he's just like, I will hunt you forever, demon. I am a demon. You can't. I will hunt you. Oh, I'm so bored of this. I like the idea of a demon just getting bored with trying to possess someone.
There's also like it wasn't too terribly scary, but there was that one episode with like the kid who's like actually like an old guy who like basically runs like an Airbnb before Airbnb was a thing, and he's
Well,
like
he runs a B&B.
he's yeah
It's like it's just a B&B.
that's true, but he's like sucking out all the like youth, and like he's like sucking the life out of all the guests to maintain his youth.
Yes.
And like the thing with that was like when you actually he had like graves for all the people he killed, like
Like a lot
with
of
like
people.
tallies. Like there was a lot of dead people that he murdered.
Death was very prevalent in that.
And there was even like dogs that he had killed.
Oh yeah, he had killed dogs, hadn't he?
Like he had like a grave for like the men, the women, the children, and the animals, with like tallies on each one for like all the people he had like done a murder to. You know.
Yeah, that was a messed up episode.
And it's like we watched this as a kid.
Yep. Speaking of other like trashy TV, if you want to watch some trashy TV, this is on Peacock.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Dan Brown.
Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol.
Ooh, yeah.
So, I'm a fan of trashy novels. I enjoy reading Dan Brown's books,
which are
not good.
Good, but they're really good.
Yeah, they're
you
just,
know what I mean?
like, Dan Brown's novels are like watching, reality shows. It's like watching Real Housewives. It's trashy, but it's so good. It's terrible, but oh, don't you love it? And Dan Brown's books are the Bachelor and the Bachelorette of novels. They are the Love Island of novels.
I had actually seen the two main Tom Hanks movies. I know they made Inferno as well. But I had seen Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, the movies, before reading the books. You had read the books already.
Yeah, I hadn't read Da Vinci Code before I saw the movie. But I did read it later.
I watched those movies, and then I read the books, because you had them. And I gotta say, I was not prepared for the amount of sexual energy in those books.
They really tone it down in the films.
Not at all ready for how horny
because Dan Brown in the Robert Langdon character, it's a heavy self-insert. It's just like, I'm gonna put myself right here, and there's so much sexual energy, specifically around like Tweed, Harris Tweed. There's a lot of energy around Harris Tweed.
I love that, like, this is, like, actually in one of the books where he's, like, having this, like, art historical thought process, thinking through things, and then just, like, there's, like, a hyphen, and then a full paragraph talking about, like, looking at a woman's butt in jeans, and then it goes back into the thought again afterwards. Like, there's just this break for, like, weird weird sexy sex energy.
It ain't
In
good.
the middle of
It ain't
like
good.
in the middle of like storytelling.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, calm down.
Yeah.
It's a bit much.
It's a bit much. Yeah, it is it's a lot. The thing about his novels is that they're actually well-written stories.
Like the actual, like, if you break down the sort of outline of it, like
And the mystery and everything.
and the mystery.
Yeah, no, they're
Like-
actually good mysteries. They're
Yeah.
really fun to read.
They are.
And they're way better to read than watch the movies for the turns in it. Oh,
Except
he's
for
got some really good turns.
Lost Symbol.
Yeah,
Turn.
Lost Symbol is just bad.
They actually did the turn better in the show than
The
the book.
thing about Lost Symbol is that you see it coming from a million miles away.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can see this coming from a million miles away.
And then it's like, ooh, you didn't see that coming, did you?
And you're like,
yeah,
I fucking
yeah,
did, didn't I? And you just see it coming from a million miles away. It's super obvious. And it is not well written. The Lost Symbol it just wasn't good. It really, really, really wasn't. The show Lost Symbol is
Marginally better.
oh, it's a lot better
It's
than
a lot
the book.
better than the book.
It's a lot better than.
Yeah.
Is it good? No.
Is it?
Is it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just pulpy nonsense. And I saw some reviews, especially from UK tabloids, because there's some British actors in there. And like Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard is in the show. And the UK tabloids are like, this is dumb and trash. And just like going on about how pulpy and crappy it is. And it's like, what did you expect? Have you ever read these books?
Eddie
They're
Izzard
not
being in it
good.
sold me on the show more than the Dan Brown.
Oh,
aspect
okay,
of
yeah,
it.
because we love Eddie Izzard. And we were just sitting there like, God, this is so bad.
We ate a lot of popcorn.
Eating popcorn. And okay, Wyvern Obsidian. I gotta get Wyvern Obsidian. That is.
I'll give him a casting this. Like,
They did a good job of casting.
the casting across the board was great, and the guy playing Robert Langdon
Did a really good job as Robert Langdon.
he felt more Robert Langdon-y than Tom Hanks ever did.
Yeah. And it's not that Tom Hanks' portrayal was bad. It's just like,
It wasn't. It didn't match up with the books as much.
yeah, Tom Hanks has too much charisma.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No.
And Tom Hanks is unable to portray someone that does not have a lot of charisma. He's unable to do it. Mm-hmm. He's an incredibly talented actor, but like he's too visible. He's too well known. Everyone knows Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And that can be detrimental to the portrayal of certain characters.
Also, like, as we discussed.
Not that Robert Langdon's a very deep character.
But as we discussed, Robert Langdon has an inherent perviness to him that I don't think Tom Hanks can pull off.
You are correct. Now, they did not
They didn't
put that inherent perviness in there, and we're not saying that the actor is inherently pervy either.
But you could feel that this character could be pervy, like Robert Langdon in the books. The way they wrote him and everything.
The way they wrote him, yeah, like
You know.
he could have a little bit of like, dude, calm down. You know.
Like, because the Tom Hanks movies, which are.
You got the opposite of that.
And he's like, I'm here for the mystery, and that's it. You know. And
And they also rewrote a lot of the romantic storyline in that, because all the books have a romantic storyline. They rewrote that.
Except Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's true.
Da Vinci
He doesn't
Code
really
does
have
not.
a romantic thing in there. I think that's why that's kind of the best one.
Yeah. Like, I like how earlier when I was talking about Legends and Lattes, you're like, ooh, romantic subplot's always good. And now we're like, yeah, the one without the romantic subplot's a lot better.
Oh, a romantic subplot's always good, but it doesn't
Make it better.
it doesn't necessarily improve the work.
I see.
And also, a romantic subplot is not always good from every author.
That's very true.
Like,
like Dan Brown,
for example. Other authors that should never write romantic subplots.
Dostoevsky.
Dostoevsky should never write a romantic subplot. Bill O'Reilly is an author.
Is he really? Wasn't that all
published-
ghostwritten?
It is mostly entirely ghostwritten. Yeah. But, and they're like all on, I think they're all on like American historical
figures.
political figures.
Generally,
Like,
yeah.
I think they all are.
I think he did one on like a Christian thing. But anyway, not worth talking about.
I have never read any of them because
You have common sense.
I, one, don't need to give him money, and two, there's nothing truly insightful that he's going to be able to put in those books
Yeah.
over other things by better authors and researchers.
Who aren't sexual abusers.
Yeah, never give Bill O'Reilly money. That's just a good rule of thumb. If you're looking for a rule, just any rule to obey in life, you're like, I could use some rules. Don't give Bill O'Reilly money is a good one to start.
And never idolize anyone unless they're already dead and that you know everything about them.
Or us.
Or us. You can
You
idolize
can idolize
us.
the two of us. Yes.
We'll never do anything wrong ever, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. God, I hope so.
Me too.
Don't idolize anyone except us. I'm realizing that what I want, this is my third cup of coffee here. What
That's
I
more
want
coffee.
is more coffee. What I definitely should
I
have.
haven't had a third cup. That's not fair.
You can get yourself a third cup. It's right there.
Does it have coffee in
It
it?
has a little bit left. I think it's like half a cup. I poured myself half a cup. No, not even half a cup left.
There's half a drop.
Would you like me to go make some decaf? Because we should not have that much coffee. Would you like some decaf?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maybe caffeinated too. With
You know, I could bring you a Zevia.
no. I'm good on caffeine. I was making a joke.
Okay. I am
Gonna leave again.
gonna go make
Give
a little...
me a topic to talk about. I had to come up with one while you were gone last time. Any topic.
Any topic.
Any topic that I can actually talk about. Oh
Talk
no.
about, well, no, I'm thinking through a couple options.
Oh, okay.
The-
You have options. That's good.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about... because this is a topic that most people will know a little to nothing about and probably have never heard of, and is pretty interesting.
Is it animal facts?
No.
Okay.
Why don't you talk about how in the 1950s and 60s,
Okay.
the American CIA funded American artists?
Oh, you want me? Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
I think that's a very interesting topic. Yeah.
Their counter-communism art funding?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm gonna make some coffee.
So, in the 50s and 60s, post-war, basically, what we had was the Cold War going on, right? Obviously, you had America versus the USSR, and the USSR had started early with like Malevich and stuff. There was the constructivist art movement, which was quite abstract, and it had a very, very abstract sort of style to it. This was during like sort of the Lenin era of the USSR. But after Stalin took over, and Stalin is a huge douchebag. After Stalin took over, the constructivist art got really shunted out, and Stalin was like, no, this is too subversive, basically. So then you got Socialist Realism, is what it was called. And it was a lot of very square, muscly proletariat folks with hammers doing work depicting, it's socialism or communism at the time. Russian communism, Soviet communism. It was very glorify the proletariat. We're all working together as one, that sort of thing. And the CIA in America, obviously, the CIA was like, let's subvert this, right? We need to promote art that is the exact opposite, that's counter to this sort of Soviet socialist realism. So they took WPA artists, which was the big get out of the depression worker program, and a big part of that was art projects. Like, there was a lot of government murals and sculpture created out of this program. And they took artists that had been working for the government for some time through these sort of works projects, and had been making a lot of historical scenes, or like non-historical but in a historical style scenes. America's not great about how we depict our history. We cover up a lot of real shady shit. But they've been taking these sort of pseudo-historical scenes, doing them in a very realistic way. And the CIA and, oh god, what's the name of that museum? The one where they have the... Oh my god. Anyway, the CIA and some very well-to-do American, highly wealthy Americans who owned a series of museums worked together to create what we call abstract expressionism. Abstract meaning obviously non-figurative. Like, it doesn't have a... like, abstract basically means, like, it's colors and symbol free kind of art, and expressionism, which was sort of this artistic rendition of the internal struggle that you go through, which was actually really brought to the fore by the Germans in German expressionism during the 20s, before, the Nazis took over, basically. It was during, like, the Weimar era, between the two world wars. and the German Expressionists like Franz Marc, another famous one. He's not actually German, but he was with that group, those groups. You had Kandinsky, who sort of painted how music made him feel. All of these artists were trying to put their internal emotions and expressions out for people to see as art. So that was the basic concept, but often it was non-abstract. It would be like Franz Marc did a lot of animals, for example, but like using blues and stuff where they wouldn't normally be blue. So the CIA worked with these artists to create abstract expressionism. This is like Jackson Pollock, de Kooning, my brain is going slow this morning for pulling names out, obviously. But basically they're like paint these completely abstract, like Pollock's famous for his splatter paintings. Before he was doing that, he was doing like pseudo-historical murals of like kind of real, kind of made up historical scenes, but in a very realistic style. And they moved to this like hyper abstract Rothko, for example, who has like large color fields, stuff that has no grounding in reality whatsoever, and it was like tinged in this sort of psychological sort of psychoanalysis, where the artist is bringing their internal emotional state out onto the canvas, and it's the purest form of expressing the individual. And that was sort of the key, was that in opposition to this sort of socialist realism, the abstract expressionists were the pinnacle of what the individual expression, rather than sort of the collectivist expression of socialist realism was the basic concept. And the CIA and these wealthy American families that kind of decided what was and wasn't art. Like, that's kind of how the art world works, is like the wealthy people just sort of arbitrarily decide this is high art and is worth a lot of money. And if you're lucky as an artist, you get some rich people to say your art is worth a lot of money. Otherwise, you're just kind of shut out completely from the art world. It's how it still works today, and it's 100% how Jeff Koons' business model is. And I give Jeff Koons a lot of credit. He's very savvy and knew what he was doing. Anyway, so then the CIA funded these art exhibits that were like, this is real art. This is the individual artist at play. And it was a front for the culture wars between the capitalist society and the socialist societies. And yeah, so abstract expressionism was basically devised and created by the government to oppose the Soviet government. And it was sort of all tied in together with the wealthy elite of America collaborating with the collaborating with the government to decide what we would consider to be high art. And I mean, it's nothing new, really. Like, it's always throughout at least Western history. Throughout Western history, it's pretty much always been the wealthy, powerful people decide what we consider art because they're the ones who can afford it. You know, back in medieval Europe, you would be like the court artist for the Duke, and the Duke just turned out art for the wealthy people. That's kind of carried on through Western culture to this day, even with the advent of like printmaking, things like that. It was still that, but America really codified it and made like people actually write about the art world with a capital A because it's like a proper noun now. It's like a actual concept of this is a structured, organized system where people decide what qualifies as art and what doesn't. And ultimately it's all bullshit, and a lot of it's just there to, you know, wash money and push ideas on people. There's a lot of honestly, like the shit you see with NFTs and stuff, which are thankfully fading. It's just an extension of it where people go, I'm going to artificially increase the price of something so that I can profit off of it. It's absolutely nothing new. The whole process is been done already in the art world, where you have galleries that are like, I have a painting that I paid $20,000 for. I would like it to be worth $1 million. So what I'm going to do, and this is technically illegal if you get caught doing it, but you basically buy and sell it between galleries back and forth, raising the price a bit at a time each time you sell it, until you're like, well, this painting's valued at $1 million, even though you've just been passing it between yourself, basically, or a partner, in order to artificially inflate the price of a painting. And then you're like, oh, this artist has a painting worth $1 million, and why, look at this, I bought their entire catalog of works. And they're all worth a lot now. You see the same shit happen with NFTs nowadays, where the only difference is that they can do it a lot faster now because it's less regulated and it is digital. So you don't have to write up a whole bill of sale and stuff every time and like register the sale, and you're not losing money on sale on taxes and stuff like that. Although hopefully that'll be changing soon. But yeah, so that is how abstract expressionism was created by the US government in order to compete against Soviet realism, socialist realism. Pretty exciting. I actually personally really like the German Expressionist period. They had some really great stuff. in that period. But I'd say my favorite art in the Western canon, because there's honestly, if you look outside the West, there's a lot better art along in a lot of ways. You know, you have all sorts of amazing art that gets completely ignored in, at least in the sort of European Western education system, because we have a colonialist attitude towards education. But if you're looking at like Western art, I really like medieval illuminated manuscripts, primarily because it's art that's functional. A lot of what was lost over time in the West was that we got this idea that art shouldn't have a function, it should exist just to be art. Sort of became this drive and push, but that's not really how it works historically or in a lot of other places. And the function of a medieval manuscript is to impart some sort of knowledge, whether it be a book of hours where you're supposed to, at certain hours throughout the day, read prayers from it and it has a religious functionality to it, or a historical record, things like that. But then the illuminations that they put on them I think are absolutely gorgeous, with their use of materials and everything, where they have this, the super saturated lapis lazuli, and they actually have gold leaf pressed onto the paper. That's the illumination part. If I had to choose from a Western art, I'd say that is far and away my favorite. But yeah, so that's the story. I think Lexi's coming back now, so I can maybe start talking about something else soon. And we have a puppy. Sophie, come here. Come here. Hi. Yep. There she is. Hi.
Huh?
I'm guessing she woke up.
She did. She came downstairs and was bark, 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 bark.
Whoa.
Are you cream?
She's sniffing everything. You gotta make sure it's not poisonous.
Isn't that right? You good puppy. Did she startle a little bit of pop?
No. There you go. You can relax down there. We have a little bed for you.
It's alright. Coffee.
Decaf, huh?
Decaf coffee. Or as my grandparents say, unleaded.
I call it night coffee.
Yeah, we call it night coffee because it's coffee you can safely have at night.
Yep.
You've gotten pretty darn far ahead of me on that mining while I was making some coffee.
I needed something to do while
I know.
was,
we were kind of neck and neck, and now you're firmly ahead.
You actually started ahead of me.
Did I? I thought we were pretty close.
Mm-mm. You were like 2 or 3 levels ahead of me originally. I talked a lot about art.
Yeah?
Yep. No, which is why no one's talking anymore, because it was boring. Right, Sophie?
Or it could be that
Just rapt attention.
we have all of our viewers. Did she just like?
Smack me?
She's like, I'm.
What? Are you bored? We're in a stream. It's streaming right now, puppy.
She's like, yeah, I know. I don't like it.
Well,
It doesn't involve playing. With
climb
me.
up on top of Lexi.
Well, if you want to be involved, learn to play video games.
Yeah. We tried teaching you. We were starting with Pong. You got pretty good at the SNES Mario Kart. And then you stopped playing.
And then you're like, I have achieved greatness in video games. There is nothing more I need do. That's how that went.
Uh-huh. That was the story of our dog. Apparently.
Yes, it was.
I keep getting like the you obtain nothing, right? Because I'm trying to mine some stuff that's a little high level. And I just keep getting the Gene Wilder. You get nothing in my head.
You lose. Good day, sir. Is there a song more broadly hated than Cheer Up Charlie?
You have a lot of opinions about Cheer Up Charlie.
No, I have precisely one opinion.
And that is
sucks. I only need one opinion about it.
But
It's done. I've made my opinion known.
You have to admit that closed soup looked delicious.
I love. Okay, so in the scene of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, there's the Gene Wilder 1970s.
19 whatever.
I think it was 1971 or 72 or something like that. The Gene Wilder movie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie's mom, she's she runs a laundry, and this is something that I'd never seen in my life because
We didn't grow up in the 70s.
and I think that probably it might be a more European thing.
It was set in, it is in England.
Yeah, so it could be a more European thing.
Right.
I don't know enough, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. But she runs a laundry, and she takes clothes from all over the neighborhood, I'm guessing. Maybe other parts of the city, because they're supposed to be in London, right?
Shockingly, they never delved into the socioeconomics of the region.
No, but I think the story is set in
Yeah,
like
it
London,
is.
right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Or at least it's heavily implied it's in London.
It's in
It's in a large city
a
in
British
England.
city. It's probably London.
Yeah.
You know.
And she runs a laundry. She's cleaning the clothes. She does so by having a very large vat of water, hot water and soap that she's stirring all these clothes in. She's using this really big stirring rod to like move the clothes around and agitate them and get the dirt out, right? And they show this in the film, and to my young mind, I'd never seen laundry done that way. I'd only seen it done with a, washing machine and mostly a clothesline. We had a dryer, but most of it was done with clothesline. to save a little bit of money. And I looked at that and was like, she's making clothes soup.
I did too.
Because it's the only, like, it looked like this very large bat, and she had this giant spoon-looking thing, and it was clothes soup. Like, why is she's making soup with, like, clothes?
Why are they hungry all the time if
Like,
she has so much clothes soup?
That is what I had in my head. And years later, because this isn't something you talk about as a child. And of course, child logic leads you to
Weird
places because you take all the available evidence and base it against your limited experience.
Yeah.
And because you have very limited experience as a child, you often come out with incorrect conclusions, but drawn from places in a
Through
process that
logical
makes
process.
sense.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here. We both came to the conclusion, well, she's making clothes soup.
Yep. And it turned out to be true.
And it was. It was clothes soup.
I like, now that we brought up, like, was he in London? Was it set in London? I kind of like the idea that, like,
Would you like to go upstairs, sweetheart? Are you bored?
Is she bored already?
She's bored.
I kind of like the idea that Willy Wonka wasn't working in London, but was rather in a different British city. And that British city would be Birmingham, which in the 70s especially was basically just coal. Like, I think Birmingham was famous for just having a lot of coal and mining a lot of coal and processing a lot of coal. Am I correct in that?
Birmingham processing. I don't know about processing coal, but it was manufacturing.
It was like, it's just like this, like, kinda like manufacturing town. It's sort of like the Gary, Indiana of England.
I don't know how true that is, strictly speaking.
But I like the idea that, like, maybe Willy Wonka... I mean, like, Willy Wonka is a problematic character in a lot of ways. Like, the whole slave labor thing, again.
Yeah, I mean, he literally uses slave labor. This is not someone you should idolize.
And, like...
Unlike us.
Like... It was pretty bad in the original Willy Wonka. It wasn't really Oompa Loompas. It was very racist.
No. The Oompa Loompas were real racist. It's a book that I grew up reading. It is not a book that I will share with my children,
yeah.
should I have any.
But I like the idea that an asshole like Willy Wonka would...
He also basically murders children for fun
he murders
and profit.
Children for, yeah. But, like, I feel like he would just go with wherever was cheapest. You know, like, he wouldn't have a big factory in London. That would be pricey. He would definitely go to some, like, weird industrial city where, like, there was nothing, like, going on except, like, industrial factories, you know?
That's true. I mean...
And there's better Roald Dahl books out there than Willy Wonka.
Yeah. There are. That was not his best work.
But yeah. That's where I think that the Wonka factory was probably, like, covered in coal soot. Probably got in the candy because, you know, health standards weren't anywhere near what they are at the time. It's a very bleak take on Willy Wonka.
I mean, Willy Wonka's just a bleak character.
Yeah.
Like, no one should like Wonka. Nobody.
Honestly, for kids' books, the Roald Dahl books are kind of bleak in general.
Well, he's a very bleak author.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of issues with his...
Mm-hmm.
his depiction of just about everything.
Yeah. I feel like I liked Matilda more.
You know, Matilda, I never got to read. That was one I never read. I liked the movie. I don't know how true the movie is to the book.
I don't really remember either well enough, honestly. But, yeah. As a kid, I was actually really into, like, the survival-y sort of stories, like the Hatchet and stuff. You know, like the out in the wilderness survival kind of stories.
Yeah, you really, really liked those. Hatchet was pretty darn good. Was it River next or something?
Yeah.
Because there is a sequel to Hatchet.
And
I think it's like the River.
Man, and I read all of the Boxcar Children, which were their own pile of nonsense.
I mean, they got their own thing going on. The
Boxcar Children.
We don't have time to unpack all of that.
The sheer volume of puritanical gender roles that were occurring in those books. But I like the kids surviving on their own and, like, making do, you know. That was sort of what I was there for.
You know, because we grew up in a really hyper-Christian area, the Boxcar Children were shocking, popular.
Uh-huh.
And the Boxcar Children bred. And if you didn't grow up
Man.
in, like...
I made you make me that.
In, like, a hyper-Christian-y area, you might not have really... Like, the Boxcar Children might not have been much of a thing for you.
And you're probably better for it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably a lot better off. So, the kids in the book make bread.
And they
because they need something to eat, and, like, that's about all they know how to make is bread.
Although there was a whole cookbook.
Yes.
Kind of designed for kids.
Very simple recipes.
Simple recipes.
And we do both rather fondly remember the Boxcar Children bread.
Mm-hmm.
But after making it, it truly wasn't as good as I remember it.
The smell, though, there's a lot of memory attached to smell.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And, like, the smell of it, like, I would make it just for that, because it, like, sends me right back to as a kid.
Yeah, the smell was just as I remember it.
The bread itself was fine, but not great. But
it wasn't great bread. It was like, that's not good.
Yeah, but the smell was exactly how I remember it.
Ah, there you are, Wide Gully. Here, I gathered 10 times the amount that you asked for. I hope that's enough. Set the pieces on the table and criticize them.
And me.
Yes. Let's see. What do I need most? Let's see. Okay. I got gloves. How are my gloves doing? boots. My boots are 19. I think my legs. My legs are the worst. So I'm gonna correct them.
I think your legs are fine.
I'm just talking about my gear.
My legs are the worst.
It did sound so funny. My legs were the lowest.
Part of your body.
Lowest level item that I had. Okay, where does the... Oh, okay, so the water crystal, that is from all sorts of areas that I can't get to.
I think that the crystal farming is for when you're at higher level, you can get a lot more of it quickly.
Okay, so granite.
Are you filling out your gathering line?
Well, yeah, I'm just going to the places that that I need to go to. You know?
Uh-huh.
Ready, 37?
36.
36. I like flying on a chocobo. It makes no sense. It would make... So you can also fly on like a motorcycle in this game.
The thing is, it makes almost enough sense, but it makes less sense.
Well, see, the flying motorcycle...
Oh, you're gathering amethyst with me?
Do we need raw amethyst?
You need 20 raw amethysts.
Oh, I'm
for
not...
the next quest.
I am not on that at all. I'm level 33. So, I'm not there.
Well, the level 35 is to gather 20 raw amethysts. So
I just happened to pick this at random.
you might as well get 20 here.
Because I saw there were quite a few here. I was like, well, okay. I'll go gather some of that.
No, we put them on. They've been staring at my character.
Well, I have been getting up and doing things.
I might pop away to use the bathroom in the near future.
Yeah, I used the bathroom a little while ago. So, I'm alright. I think I picked the order I wanted to go in. You need 15 raw amethysts?
20.
20 raw amethysts, okay. So I'll mine 200.
As a normal response to being told you need 20 or something.
I have such, I don't know what to call it, like role-playing game syndrome or something. Yeah, action RPG syndrome where you're given a limited item, and you're just like, now these are very powerful, so use them wisely. Got it. Never use it.
They're absolutely not limited at all. You can gather as much raw amethyst as you want.
But if I know I need some, I'm like, I need a lot more than that.
Well,
That was unproductive. That was a very unproductive node. When you get a node and it's just like, no.
I've determined it's time for me to use the restroom.
Enjoy. Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Talk about something really cool that everyone likes.
That is not gonna happen. Why don't we talk about, since I have you to myself right now, don't have to share, I can talk about whatever I want. Let's talk about the absolute travesty of car design that is the Pontiac Aztek. It's one of the most hideous cars in the entire world, made famous by Walter White in Breaking Bad. If you watch this for a little while, I'm a car girl. I like cars. I know a fair bit about them. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an expert in, like, engine timing and how to set your camber for racing and stuff like that. Like, I'm not an expert in that, and I would never pretend to be. But I do know that the Pontiac Aztek is one of the most hideous cars ever made, and I have had the misfortune of actually having driven one. Not only is it ugly, and I'm going to bring up a picture here. Yes. Just look at that. Look at the magnificence that is this car. It's hideous. It's an absolutely hideous car. It was like a box, and these are the press photos. These are the things. Oh, someone rebadged that to look like a Cadillac. So these are the photos of the Pontiac Aztek that Pontiac took and put them out as a promotional material. This is where they're like, it's the best looking car that we've made. We're going to take the best pictures of it. We love this. And they put that out into the world. And it is tragic. It's a tragic car. It didn't run well. It wasn't well designed. It wasn't comfortable. I've driven one. So we had a Pontiac Aztek as a learner's car for driver's ed. Yeah. Yeah. And our driver's ed course was over a few days. And it involved, the usual things like just learning how to turn, reverse, and parallel parking and stuff. But you got into a different car each day. And sometimes it's just like random chance you'd wind up in the same car, but you were in usually different cars. And one of the cars that we had was a Pontiac Aztek, and it was terrible. Oh, the blind spots. So look at this thing. It has this bar right here that just stops you from seeing out the back. You just can't see out the back with that. So there's this line in your rearview mirror. This is like you can't see anything there. And it's not a small line. It takes up a significant amount of your rearview mirror. The posts, which are, the support posts on the sides of your car that create the cabin that you're in, they were large. The vision was terrible on that. You had blind spots everywhere, and they were large. It was the worst. It was the worst car I've ever driven. I've driven a PT Cruiser quite a bit, actually. That was terrible. They had a turning radius that was roughly the size of a baseball stadium. could not turn. The weirdest part is that the windows for the rear windows, they're power windows, but you would think, like most vehicles, you would put the window controls next to the window. Well, Chrysler had a look at that and said, well, that makes a bit too much sense, doesn't it? And decided, now we're not going to do that. We're not going to put the window controls next to the window. No. We will put the window controls on the floor, in the center. So about 4 inches from the actual floor, on the center console, on the back side of it, where you have your passengers in the rear, that's where you controlled your windows. And it was very easy to put the windows down if you just moved your feet or back up. Had absolutely no visibility in the damn thing. The rear view window was teeny. Couldn't see much of anything out of it. The support posts, the beams are massive, so you had terrible visibility. Turning radius, like I said, that was the size of a stadium. It's all bad. It was just all bad. In all of the years of car design, from like the 1930s is when you first see a lot of car manufacturers appear and spring up, and there's a lot of different people making cars, and honestly a lot of the cars are the same. They're just the same kind of cars. There's not a lot of variation in the design of cars in the 1930s. The 1940s don't get much better, and the 1940s were largely interrupted, of course, by World War II, so there's not a whole lot of models to look at from the 1940s. And the few that do exist are limited in their production and still mostly built on 1930s models. And they only made a very few cars, at least in America, during the war, even less overseas. Because all the car manufacturers became like tank and airplane manufacturers. Ford famously was producing a lot of airplanes. And Ford actually had experience producing airplanes. There were Ford-made airplanes in the first half of the 20th century that were pretty common. So you don't have a lot to look at in the 30s and 40s as car manufacturers were slowly proliferated. But then in the 1950s, there's an explosion of car manufacturers. Because all of the people that were making weapons for war, well, now had to do something. They had to do something with all these factories that had been built up. And with all those factories, they decided, let's just keep manufacturing things. We are gonna manufacture cars, was mostly what the answer was. So you saw a lot more variation in design, a lot more interest. And you saw a lot of rocket influence. They had little tails coming off of it. Little rocket things influencing design everywhere during the 1950s. And some into the 60s. You saw a ton of design variation in the 1950s and 60s. I talked about this the other day on the Destiny 2 stream last week. And if you're interested in this and you play Destiny 2, which is the other game that we play on Wednesdays, they have Sparrow in the game right now that you can purchase for Bright Dust that is modeled after a car. And I will show you the car it is modeled after. This is an example of a 1958 Nash Metropolitan. And they are these adorable little cars that came in these two-tone colors. And they also had, monotone. Here's an example of a monotone version. That is that? No, that's not the same. Yes, this is a better example. This is a different year. But the Metropolitan was this adorable little compact car. And they're very popular. You can go to auto shows just about anywhere, and there's usually a Metropolitan that shows up. They are just adorable. They don't have a good turning radius. They have these enclosed wheel arches, very common in the time, in the late 50s to 60s. And as a consequence of those closed-in wheel arches, turning radius wasn't good. You could also occasionally get things stuck in here. It was easy to get things stuck in these enclosed wheel arches. That's why you don't see them today on cars. But you can see how people really love to maintain them. And there's a Sparrow that they have designed in Destiny 2 based off of the Metropolitan. And if you go into the Destiny store, you can buy it right now for Bright Dust. And it's not my personal favorite as far as scooters go. That's what we call sparrows. We call them scooters. It's not my personal favorite. There's others that I like. But I really do appreciate the energy they put into it. I'm still thinking I might buy it. If you are interested in picking that up, you have until the end of today, which I think is 2 or 4 a.m. Eastern. Something like that. To pick it up in the store. For Bright Dust. You can always, I'm sure, buy it for silver, but never buy anything for silver. That's my advice. If you happen to have some Bright Dust, great, go ahead, but don't buy silver. Silver is their in-game currency, so you can hand them one. And they have brought that, when I saw that design, and I saw they called it the Metropolitan on there, I was like, okay, I know what I'm for. It was just nice to see this little almost Easter eggy influence within a modern game that someone over at Bungie's development and design branches were like, hey, there's a car and I want to put that car in the game. And a whole bunch of people went, yeah, sure, let's get anyone to design it. And that's what came out of it. The coolest car from that period is actually a Marlin. And I'm going to go pull that up here. I'm going to switch screens while I get it up. This came from later. This is 66 Rambler Marlin. It's got this really cool swept back with these fins over here. I don't see any interior. And the interior... Yeah. Is this... You can't really see it, but it has a little Marlin right there, and all over the place there are little Marlin features that have, like a Marlin fish. Oh, they're fantastic. They are very rare because they were made by Rambler and then later AMC after AMC, American Motor Company, bought Rambler out, and none of those companies ever did well.
About cars.
I am talking about cars. None of those companies ever did well financially.
Alright, well,
And as such, finding a Rambler or AMC Marlin is very rare. They weren't popular cars. They weren't well loved. And they're harder to find these days. When you leave, I talk about cars.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
You're like,
Thank you for waiting. Cars are fine.
yeah, I love cars. I love talking about cars. I love design of cars and seeing that evolution. There's a whole art to the automobile. You don't.
I think they're fine.
Yeah. It's not what drives you.
No, I
Pun
drive
intended.
them.
You don't have a super strong interest in those things.
No, I'd say my interest is minimal.
Oh, aren't there, what's the one to like find a most rocky outcrop?
Prospect?
Is it Prospect? Oh, that's just, it's both. I thought there was one that would like locate one or the other.
No, it locates both. But if you go into your log, if you're looking for a specific thing, it will show you the map.
I'm just seeing if there's any more in this area. I guess I'll just like click through here. Not that it's just head out here. I'm just continuing down my gathering log. Yeah. Did everything go fine, guys? Did you have success?
Great. I met with great success in the bathroom. Overwhelming success. And a cat came by.
Just got a message on Instagram about how they think we would be the perfect people to promote their goods.
Oh, yeah.
Their fashion goods. Like, you clearly have not looked at Instagram, have you?
Our fashion is amazing here.
Our Instagram feed is just dandy.
Mostly miniatures.
Yeah, if you haven't tuned into our painting stream recently, I did a thing that I have not done since July.
And painted.
No. I mean, I guess I technically did this on Christmas Eve. Because I did a Christmas Eve stream.
With your dad.
Yeah, he showed up towards the end. No, I did a special Christmas Eve stream where I finished painting something. I started and finished painting something in a single episode. I usually do the more, like, high detail, finicky things, and they take me quite a few episodes to complete. But I finished painting Commander Soloff.
That's right.
I feel sort of special about that. I actually finished it. I think it came out really well. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, he was great. He's great. He still exists.
We didn't completed him.
Destroy
Throw in the
him.
fire. Is that all I did from here? Yeah, I guess so. Just popping over here for a quick second to get some things. Yeah, I'll go there. And complete this money. Then I can go and complete the level 35 quest.
Nice. Yeah, for the emeralds or amethyst.
Yeah, since you let me know that we would need 20 of them.
20 Emmy.
And I gathered, I didn't do quite as much this time. I gathered 120, so I got 6 times rather than 10 times.
Nice.
I know.
Really slacking.
I know. I need to go put a lot of stuff in the bank.
Well, you need to hire a retainer to do that.
Well, I need to go do that then, yeah.
Yeah.
You need to design your retainer, don't you?
Why?
Oh, I just wasn't looking forward to,
Making a character.
like, being creative.
Oh.
It's like, oh no.
I was just gonna make a pink cat girl named Alexis.
Wait.
What?
Well, I found mithril ore, and I know you need a whole lot of that.
Yeah, Mithril's used in an episode.
Oh no, I'm out of inventory space. Wait, why can't I gather more of that?
Because you can't gather anything unless you have one additional empty space. Just get rid of some of your dye. Up at the top.
Yeah, I can just. It's just purple dye. Right?
Yeah, vendors sell that.
Yeah. Because I know I need a lot of mithril. That's another thing that you just burn through later.
And a lot of different. I think goldsmiths use it, and like the weapon and armor smith also use it.
Yes. Or as it's sort of spelled mithril. Because it's. Aw, you're mithril too. We have a cat. That one.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's the little worm. I was looking for the little worm.
Why?
Because it's in my log to get one. Don't ask me why they put it here.
Who are they?
Just try it.
I know, it's a fishing boat. The worm is a fishing bait. For fishing.
You know, fishing is one of the things that in every game, like every game puts fishing in, and I don't like it. I like actual fishing.
Has there ever been a fishing that you liked?
I don't think I've ever had fun with fishing in any game.
I generally like fishing.
I think fishing is one of those activities that gets put into games because of the habit at this point.
I like fishing in Stardew.
I don't. And this is not me, like, crapping on anyone who has designed a fishing experience, a fishing minigame, whatever it is. I'm not crying on it. I don't care for it.
It's not for you.
No. If I want to fish, I just want to go actual fishing.
I mean, that's fair.
You know? And can I describe to you, like, what's the difference between the, like, running around mining stuff and running around fishing stuff? Like, what, practically, there's no difference.
I mean, practically, the difference really is mining, you click go, and then you're done. Fishing, you click go, and then you have to wait and respond quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what bothers me with a gathering thing. I just want to gather.
Would you like it more if fishing was just like I click a button and then eventually I pull in a fish?
Probably, yeah. I think I probably would. I mean, you nailed it on the head there.
Because often, almost always, there's at least a second step up the bobs, or like there's a little exclamation point or something to trigger that a fish is on your line. And then you have to push another button or do a mini game of some sort, or, you know, there's some sort of response action. It's more active.
See, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I don't like it because...
You like the passive experience.
If I'm out here gathering, I'm doing it because...
You want to shut your brain off, watch something on TV, chat about something.
I'm doing this to just, like, have a good time. Like, before we streamed today...
Before we streamed?
Oh, who said do a flip on that? I'm not sure what that was. Who said that? Is it talking about my bird?
It might have been on the music now. Probably, yeah, do a flip on your bird.
Okay. Okay, we're doing a flip and... okay, we did a flip, yeah.
That was a good flip.
It's a good flip. It's very good. Top-notch flip, 10 out of 10.
But
5 stars, would flip again.
What you're looking for is something that requires no attention outside of just like...
Find the spot, click the button, and it's done.
So that you can do something else, like talk to someone or watch something.
Like this morning, this is a perfect example. This morning, we woke up and I slept sort of rough through the night. I don't know why. I slept a little rough.
Probably the same.
And does this percentage here mean there's no chance of getting a double? Right?
Yeah.
Well, since those are kind of rare, I'll take those.
Not bad, right?
Just says hidden, so I guess they're hidden.
I think you need to be above a certain level.
Gotcha. So I slept a little rough. I was feeling kind of like poop this morning, and I wasn't really feeling up for doing main story quest stuff and just kind of going through there. I wanted something that was
Easier.
There was something where it would allow me to engage in conversation more easily with you, and something that was kind of relaxing, laid back, easy to do. And I suggested why don't we do just let's chat and gather stuff. And you're like, yeah, sure. We haven't done any like gathering on stream. And
Once I hit 40, then I might switch to fishing. If I hit 40 before we're done. Go on.
I'm still, what level are you? I'm on 36.
I'm closing in on 39.
Ooh, man. Are you just as like Jade? You're doing like level 40 stuff up there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I guess I should be doing if I want to push my level up, right?
I'm gathering jade right now, which I think is one of the quest items. I think you have to gather jade. I might be misremembering.
Yeah,
But I figure
gonna-
jade is useful. I like jade. It's a cool stone.
I'm gonna get some jade with you.
It's up in Slippery.
So, doing something that requires me moving around, focusing on stuff, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to just click a button, gather some stuff. You know, that is what I want.
Yeah.
Using my cooldown, still got nothing. I found that and I do actually understand the, like, governing chance principles and what probability really means
And it's
within
based-
mathematics.
And this is often based on your, not only your level, but also your equipment.
Yeah.
So upgrading your gear through doing the quests and stuff is important. Yeah.
I've got all these dies.
Not gonna use
I'm not gonna use them. And I can always just right?
pretty much. There's some that you can't, but none of the ones you get from the quests are those. There are some like from the optional item store and stuff,
Yeah.
but they do not come from the quests. You're talking about probability.
So I understand the probability and what that really means and everything like that. But I feel like their probabilities are not necessarily truly representative of your actual chances of obtaining something. You know what I mean?
I suppose.
I always feel like they overestimate, or they over-present the likelihood that you're going to succeed at this. If that makes any sense.
That's life.
Humans do that, don't we?
Yeah.
We see something, then we overestimate it.
Or underestimate it, where it's like you have a 1% chance of dying.
And in our head, that means
that
like
is-
it ain't gonna happen.
I mean, I have a 99% chance of surviving. It's impossible for me to die doing this.
Yeah, humans have.
It's like this carnival ride. Oh, it has a 95% chance of survival.
Humans have a naturally poor understanding of numbers.
And it's like, oh, 1 in 20 are gonna die.
And when they're like, wait, what? And you kind of break that down to, so 1 out of 100 people might die, right?
On this carnival ride.
On this carnival ride.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's not that many. It's not gonna happen to me. But it's like, are you the hunted?
And
You know,
and it's not even like that. It's just like you have a 1 in 100 chance of dying, which is not much at all. So it's like you and your like sibling can get on this ride, and both of you could die.
And it is entirely possible that, you know, every single person, if you have 100 people on a ride, you have 100 people in a room, and the chances are that, you know, 99% of the time, if you enter this room, you will survive, and there's a 1% chance that you will die. And you go into the room in batches of 100 people to make the math nice and easy, right? It could be that 1 person out of that 100 dies. It could also be that every single person dies.
It's just very unlikely that would happen.
Because each of those chances, each of those like
Is individual.
is an individual chance.
Yeah.
It is not a weighted probability based on size of population.
Yeah, each person going on this ride or going in this room has a 1 in 100 chance.
And you might all die. That is possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. People are really bad at understanding numbers and making educated guesses about population size.
And yeah. And part of it is how often we frame things as like out of 100% chance. You know, like you're like, well, 100% chance means it happens all the time. So a 99% chance feels like it happens all the time.
Yes.
But that's a big difference. Especially, you know.
And even my comments about I feel like they're overestimating the probability, they probably aren't.
No.
It's just that my sample size is that. It is that small. And they're looking at the entire game as a sample size. And across the entire game, they can fairly confidently state that with this and this, our numbers mean that you'll have this much of a chance.
Like you have a 52% chance each time you swing to get it.
Exactly.
Right, so you have slightly above half of the time. Very small amount above the half of the time. You're gonna get it.
And sometimes I'll hit every single time. Every single strike will come up as a success. That can happen.
Yep. Sometimes.
And it has.
But I've also been at like 80% and gotten 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
Like that also can happen.
One of the quickest examples to show probability changes is the game show example. And it's the classic game show. You have 3 doors. And you're told, all right, there's a big prize behind one of the doors. Okay? And you pick a door. And you have a 1 in 3 chance of having picked the right door. And then, after you pick your door, the host says, okay, we are going to eliminate one of the doors. And...
Assuming you didn't get the prize in the first door.
No. They always say, so you pick your door, and then they say, all right, we're going to eliminate a door from the 3 doors that is wrong. This is the wrong door.
Right.
And they say, do you want to change which door you get? You should always say yes. Because the first time that you guessed, you had a 1/3 chance of being right and 2/3 chance of being wrong.
And now you have
a 50% chance because the probability has changed. So your initial guess had a lower probability of being correct. So the chances that you chose the wrong door the first time are greater than you choosing the right door. But now you know that only one of these options is right. And there's only 2 choices. So what do? You should always switch your guess because there's a higher chance, a significantly higher chance at that.
Is that
of being correct.
Well, is that necessarily accurate though? Because well, I mean, numbers wise it is, but like effectively what you're saying is like choose a door and then we get rid of one of these 3 doors, so you have a 33.33 repeating chance of being right the first time.
Yes.
And then they're like, we got rid of the door. And then they're saying,
do you want to switch your guess?
Now they're saying this is a separate choice now. not completely ignoring the first choice. Because now it's a 1 in 2 chance, a 50% chance of choosing the right door.
But it's not. It's still related to your first choice, because you know that the probability you were right on your first guess is only 1 in 3.
But by
changing your door.
But by not changing your door, you're choosing the door that you chose before still out of two options. So isn't choosing to stay with the door also a 50% chance?
No, it isn't.
Why?
Because your initial guess was still lower than that threshold. Your initial guess only had a 1 in 3 chance of being right. And they eliminated one of those doors.
Yeah, I get that, but
But you probably chose wrong the first time.
Probabilistically,
you chose wrong the first time. It doesn't mean that you did. It just means in a large sample size, in that scenario, switching your guess will more often benefit you than harm you. And it doesn't mean that it will always be the correct door that you choose. It won't always be that. You still have a chance of choosing the right door the first time. You still could have done that.
Right.
Because it's all to do with the probability of being right. It doesn't guarantee that you're right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, okay. Because I was looking at it as you basically ignore the first choice altogether, because now they're saying, here's 2 doors. You can either choose this one or this one.
Yes.
Is effectively what the second part is. But because there's this elimination process, that's what messes with it.
Yeah, and this is why humans aren't really good from a gut place, like an emotional place at dealing with numbers, because of the exact feeling that you just described.
Yeah.
It's like, but no, now each door has a 50% chance of being correct, and it doesn't.
Because of the previous
choice.
Right. The only thing you can say for sure is that the door that was eliminated doesn't have it right.
Exactly. So you always benefit yourself from a probabilistic standpoint by switching your door's choice. That's just how the math works out. But this is the thing. Humans, we're not, from an emotional stance, we're not built to handle that.
That's why the lottery exists.
Yeah, it is. We're not built to really understand that.
Well,
and if you set the threshold low enough for entry, so if you make the cost of entry into an incredibly improbable scenario, humans will just go, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, it costs me nothing to do this.
Like, here's $1.
Yeah, that's why most of the tickets for ages and ages were set at like $1 on a lot of publicly run lotteries. So the lotteries that are in part governed by the state and local governments.
But on the other hand, there's also a different type of gambling, which, that is, effectively, where if you're going, a lot of, like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of, like, casino-style gambling, a large portion of the draw for it is that it's, the stakes are there, like, when someone goes and, like, I'm putting on $1,000 on one spot in a roulette wheel, it's sort of, you're, like, getting off on the emotional, like, stakes of it, right?
Yeah, there's absolutely that
and it's not
element
so
for some
much
people.
And it's not so much the chance of winning as it is like the rush of doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that usually is more of a, like, high spending and, like, high roller category, right?
Right, yeah, like the whales is like,
right?
Yeah, in the casino.
That's usually how it is. They're like, to feel any sort of excitement about this, I need to have the stakes be very high. And some people enjoy that. Most of the casino structure is set up around the idea that they obfuscate the stakes.
The odds of the stakes. Right, like it's like, you don't put in money, you put it in the slot machine, you're putting in credits, and now it's like on a card. Yeah. Even.
The further they abstract the actual cost, and this is true in microtransactions, that's why microtransactions are they're evil and manipulative. Just point blank.
Because I think there's two. So you have this high stakes gambling, which doesn't occur as much, where you're like, I'm just getting this rush from putting a lot of money down on a low stake thing and seeing what happens. And I think the vast majority of gambling is maybe more like aspirational, where it's like, I have a chance to really like change my whole life.
I think
and there's a low cost this each time. So
setting aside the people who have addiction habits with gambling,
which is
because
a big issue.
That is there's a lot of manipulation within that group.
Yeah.
There's a ton of manipulation by casinos and game developers within that realm of microtransactions and hiding costs and
there's
stuff
been
like
a
that.
lot of like neuroscience like development, basic like there's like things that are specifically designed to like prey on how the brain functions.
Yes, and some people are going to be more susceptible to that than others.
Yeah.
For example, I've been, just speaking for myself, I've been into a casino quite a few times. Mostly going with other people.
Yeah, I've never been in a casino.
I've had, conferences in Vegas and
business
things. Then, there's a lot of, hey, let's just head down to the casino kind of stuff.
Or they're like, here's $20 credit or something.
Yeah, they do a lot of that.
To get you started.
I don't care about gambling. It does nothing for me. It does not intrigue me even a little. And if I sit down to gear vendor, my gear is getting worn. Is it inside this? Looks like. No, that's not good. Okay.
I think I'm doing
it. It doesn't do anything for me. But laying down that money, I've never really been drawn by it. If I lose $5 or whatever, if I gain $5, I don't care. It doesn't trigger anything for me. That I'm not impacted by that sort of game structure. But there are plenty of people who are. And when you get into that, preying on there's a lot of...
for the next class.
Oh, well, great. There's a lot of people who are impacted by just the immense stimulation and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the core of what casinos and microtransactions and everything do is they first try to hide the cost of that.
Right. They put hide it behind all sorts of different...
That's why you have to exchange your money for
tokens
or chips.
Chips or what,
The chips have a longer story of why you do that, and there are laws that govern that.
Right, but especially the cards.
But especially the cards that casinos use these days. It's also why credit cards are in many ways very problematic, because it hides the cost of your purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of handing money, handing them a piece of plastic doesn't feel like there's any real cost to it. Mm-hmm. Because I guarantee you, if you take $1,000 out of the bank
and go buy a
and go buy something with that stack of money, you will make a very different choice about what you purchase and when and how much you're willing to spend than if you are given a credit card. Humans are bad at understanding numbers, and with all lotteries, microtransactions, and everything else, it's about first obfuscating the cost or making it small enough where you and our dumb human brains go, oh, that's nothing. Because
right.
$1 feels, for a lot of folks, like I can't really do much with it, so I can just buy a lotto ticket. It's a very low cost. But it's still $1. And if you enter the lotto once or twice a week, you're throwing, hundreds of dollars a year at a lottery, which has an incredibly low chance. I mean, an astronomically low chance of ever having a return for you.
Now, you could argue that there might be a emotional return if you're someone who, like, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I have budgeted $1 a week or whatever, like, and I understand that reasonably I'm not going to get a return on this, but like doing it gives me sort of an aspirational dream that like I get an emotional or like buying a costume in a video game.
And there's nothing wrong with making that informed choice.
It's when it's predatory that it becomes
very
problematic.
Yes. So if you sit down and you go, the thing I actually really like is, buying a Snickers bar. And I like that little feeling of a rush that I get from having a lottery ticket and going, buy. I've always wanted to have like a Corvette. I could buy a Corvette.
And you're like, I'm willing to give up buying a Snickers bar for that feeling. Right.
Yeah, that sort of cost comparison is fine to do.
Mm-hmm. It's when it becomes sort of when it preys on and is a sort of compulsion, I suppose. Is that maybe not the right word for it?
I think compulsion could describe some of these traits and behaviors. I don't know if from like a treatment standpoint that's the best thing to call them.
Yeah.
But all of these things, the point is that they're predatory, and they prey on this human inability to truly grasp cost and numbers and probability. You were reading a survey.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, about like what people think as a population proportions, basically.
And
like how many, like I think one of them was like, how many Americans are like LGBT, right?
Yes.
And it was like the real numbers versus like what people perceive those numbers to be. You know, and I think if you make like all LGBT groups, it makes up something like 2 or 3% of the population statistically from like the census.
I think it's a little higher than that.
If you lump all LGBT groups together into one, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Probably like 5%.
I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's around the 10% and less mark.
Yeah. But people were estimating like 30% of the population or more.
I remember how much of the population is Native American.
Oh yeah, like
And the survey responses are like, oh, like 30%.
of the population
And it's less
of
than
America.
1.
Yeah. I think it was the same for like Jewish.
Yeah, they
It
said
was
like
very similar.
27% to 30% range, and it's like 1%.
Yeah.
It,
We're just not good at numbers.
we're not good at understanding what percentages and probabilities, what fractions of a whole actually mean. We're
So-
terrible at it.
Like in a so like we're playing a video game in microtransactions in a video game. If you go, hey, we had a team of artists make this cool looking outfit, and if you want to buy it, it's $3 or $5 or something, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, because it's like, hey, it's just a cool outfit. You could pay $5 for it, and you're like, I really like having this. I'm getting something out of it, and all that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The problem comes in when they start to use like predatory tactics, like playing on like FOMO and stuff, where it's like, this outfit's only available for a week or something, right?
Yeah.
Or when it's like, we're going to let you like get ahead of other players by giving us money, which, I mean, you know, like, but it's especially like the FOMO stuff, I feel like.
FOMO is one of the
fear of
most
missing out.
leaned upon. Yes, that's what it means. FOMO is fear of missing out. It's one of the most leaned upon things within, like, all of these predatory behaviors.
I feel like it all sort of developed naturally, and then like people saw the sort of natural development and decided, let's formalize it and make it more predatory. Where it's like, because
Within, specifically, I'm going to
in
be
video
specific
games,
here.
in video games, yeah.
And because let's put this caveat on it as well. In mobile gaming, it started as predatory and has gotten more predatory.
Yeah, well, I think in the video games world, like, mobile games came in later and, like, already saw this model where it's like, because you could, we're playing Final Fantasy. They have an optional store where you can buy cosmetic items.
In mobile games, literally hired, like from jump, casino
People.
developers to help make their games and make them predatory.
Well, and that's where like loot boxes and stuff come in, where it's like you're buying something that has a chance of getting the thing you want, not.
Which were also developed by casino industry specialists in the video games.
It makes so much more sense to me when it's like, here's a 1-to-1 exchange. I give you $5, you give me my cool, like, hooded cloak or something, right? Yes. Whatever it is. Like, that's a 1-to-1 exchange. Yeah, there's probably some problems with how it's presented sometimes. And you're dealing with credit cards that have that like separation, built-in separation already built into it. So yeah, there's some problems there, but it's like, this is the thing we designed, this is how much it costs, and you could, and that's fairly straightforward, and that's sort of how this works. But then it's like, okay, let's say you have a seasonal thing like this little hat that we just got today for doing the game. Like, that's been a thing in MMOs for a long time. Be like, hey, it's our Halloween event, right?
It's our seasonal thing. Wouldn't you like to come and get some stuff
like,
you can only get during
here's a Santa hat. It's like the not Christmas event, right?
Which I've always found it to be sort of silly. Just like, oh, it has everything except the name.
Right, yeah. But, it's like, okay, here's a Santa hat. It's only available during the Christmas thing, but it's available every year during that Christmas thing, right? It can be like, so now you have like a little bit of FOMO creep in, but it's very understandable where it comes from because it's reflecting a real world holiday that is set at a specific time of year,
Yeah, I think there's within MMOs and other games of this nature, there's been some more perhaps honest, heavy like quotes on that word there. A little more creep of the, oh yeah, we are honestly just, we had this idea of like, why don't we theme an event with a holiday and have some fun with it.
Right. And like, hey, maybe you have to, usually in MMOs, it's like, you just have to engage with it. You don't have to pay extra for it, Which is part of, like, why they work. But honestly, where it really breaks down for me personally is when it's like the loot box, like, you're paying money for a chance to get the thing you want.
Yeah.
That's where it really becomes especially predatory, for me at least, in terms of how I receive it emotionally.
Oh, yeah. Loot boxes are among the most predatory behaviors ever displayed within video games.
Because I generally don't have a problem with you want this cool outfit, pay this much money. Like, usually, that's sometimes how they're subsidizing the cost of the game in cases. And it's like, if you don't care about it, or you don't want to pay that much for it, then you don't have to. But if it's like, this is a cool outfit, and it has a chance of dropping from this loot box that costs $5, now it's saying, like, you're maybe paying for what you want,
Yes.
And then on top of that, they'll go like, it's available in this loot box. This cool outfit is available in a loot box for a limited time. So now you have to buy a whole lot of them in short succession in order to get the thing you want.
Yeah, and like, oh, well, you can also get it for just playing the game. It's like, realistically, no.
Because usually it's like, you get like enough in-game currency to like get one loot box a month or a year or whatever, however they work the algorithm.
It's really, really destructive. And I have, but when it comes to online services like MMOs, yeah, you're designing a game, and I actually like this model, the sort of older MMO model,
like Final Fantasy.
That you bought our game, and
it came with all this stuff.
And there is a cost to play on our servers.
A subscription.
And we keep them up And part of the agreement is that we also continue to deliver content.
Like, there's a whole new patch coming out for Final Fantasy. A new adventure awaits patch. They're just starting to talk about it. That's not going to cost us any more. We're getting that with our subscription.
Yeah, it is. It's part of the agreement is that we continue to pay this, and you continue to provide the service and give us more content as we pay you.
And I see that in the same vein as, like, a graphics designer made this cool looking site. And if you want your character to have it, it's $3. And that goes, because we need to, we paid this artist to create a site in our game and maybe make a little extra for having it in the game. And if enough people buy the site for $3, then we've made our money back and more. Right?
Yes.
It's very similar sort of exchange in that regard.
Yes.
Now, and then it's like, okay, if you're paying a subscription, you generally expect less of that microtransaction to be occurring. You expect there to be a lot of cool outfits or whatever tied to it,
Yeah.
Things that it's like, oh, if you just do the dungeon or if you do the quest line, you'll get that cool thing. Like the hat we just got today. That was just part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
But effectively we paid for it with our subscription.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, not at all. It is almost 2:15 here.
Oh, is it?
So
I was too busy mining electrons, so I got distracted.
I am 10. So I think the hat is in a better place because it's the current lowest level.
Anyway, are we wrapping up now?
Yeah, I think we're wrapping up.
So thanks for coming, hanging out with us while we just sort of casually chatted and complained about things, apparently, right? We ranged all over with our conversation.
Yeah, we ranged all over. It wasn't just complaining about things.
Yeah.
We were talking about...
You talked about cars.
I did talk about cars.
I talked about art. We had a dog for a little bit until she got bored.
We had it for like 5 minutes.
And then
she got bored.
And she's probably asleep again. But anyway, do you want to wrap up or are you?
Yeah, I'm wrapping up this.
Your quest.
Yes.
And then we'll wrap up the show.
I got back up to 10 times more than you wanted.
Good.
Yeah, I felt I was slacking off there for a minute.
Yeah, that was pretty
Okay, I think my... My gloves at the lowest level.
It's a shame.
Chose...
You have chosen porn.
Nice. So I'm now level 41.
Good.
Now after doing
I'm closing in on
2 quests
43.
pretty rapidly there. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up. Thanks for joining us, everyone. This Sunday we are off from our usual show.
But we are doing our Wednesday and Friday streams.
Yeah, we're doing everything else normal. But we won't be doing our Sunday show.
Yep.
We're going to take Sunday off, and we will be recording over the weekend our new one-shot, which is set in
The wild.
The wild, wild, wild animal west.
It's the rootin' tootin' varmint shooting.
And you'll see more about that later on social media. So, follow us on Twitter at Dice and Dungeons.
Yeah.
Or over on Instagram, which is Dice in the letter N Dungeons. And you can see everything that we're sending out, all of our upcoming content, and get pictures of our latest sets.
Yeah. That we've been painting on our painting stream, and we'll be doing that again this Friday.
And if you like what we do and want to see more of it and help support the show, best way to do that is by heading over to patreon.com/dice and dungeons, where you can sign up to be a patron today, and give us money and help us keep doing this.
It's like a subscription for this show.
It is like a subscription for the show. Thanks again, everyone. We will see you for sure Wednesday. And if we happen to have time, we've left Tuesdays and Thursdays open. Yep. So if we don't have a ton on our schedule, we can always jump on. But we'll for sure see you Wednesday. Thanks again, everyone. Bye. Thanks.